I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of May 17th, 2017. Lots of comics out this week, lots of stuff to talk about, including several number ones. So let's get right to it, shall we? The book that most people will be talking about this week is Secret Empire number 2, that also happens to be my pick of the week, written by Nick Spencer, artwork by Andrea Sorrentino and Rod Reese. And what is there to say? It's awesome. Secret Empire, I think, is getting people to take a second look and calm down a little bit about all their Cap, Hydra Agent Fury. Hydra Agent Fury, that should be a new character. And this issue has a pretty big reveal in it, and yeah, it does.
I don't know if I'd use the word reveal. There's something in there. I'm not 100% sure what it means.
Yeah, I don't know what it means, but... You know, and I'm listening to other retailers talk about this, like this is the second coming of Christ or something, and I don't, like, this is going to get everybody back on track. I don't know, maybe.
That's true, it could.
The parts that I liked best about this were the Black Widow parts. Mm-hmm. Black Widow features prominently in this issue, and she basically is assembling a hit squad to go take out Steve Rogers, and you can see, like, she's done. She's not putting up with this. He's killed many people as Supreme Leader of Hydra. When the story opens, it's probably a fair amount of time, not a fair amount of time, but time has passed between the end of issue 1 and the beginning of issue 2. And some major stuff has gone down. I thought there's some great scenes with the characters that are stuck in the Dark Force or the Dark Hold or whatever it's called. I think it's the Dark Hold. Great stuff with Power Man and Iron Fist and Jessica Jones, and Claire is there, I believe, from the Netflix series, plural. It's just really good stuff. The artwork by Sorrentino is outstanding. There's an amazing splash page in here that just has so much to look at. You should get out a magnifying glass and investigate it thoroughly. So Secret Empire continues to be a pleasant surprise from Marvel, not their typical event series, one with a lot of substance and great character moments and just all around excellent.
Yeah, and I liked Sorrentino's art, but like 2 or 3 times I thought a character was Old Man Logan. I'm like, oh no, that's Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's Old Man Hawkeye.
My pick of the week this week is Night Owl Society number 2, written by James Venhouse with art by Pius Bach. This continues the story of some kids at a school.
They go to Catholic school.
Do they? Okay,
I think
because
they do.
like the early parts, it looked like it was Catholic school because like there were priests running
well,
and
they
had
were talking
stuff
about
on the
Father
wall.
so and so.
Right, but then when they went to the other ones, the other stuff looks like a more, I don't know. Yeah, they're in uniform. You're right, it is Catholic school. But they're banding together to become vigilantes by night and shut down a local big bad who may have done something in the past to what we see in this issue. He did something in the past to a beloved member of their faculty. We'll say he's beloved. Only one of them really seems to care that much. But and he also, but it's also really interesting family drama. Characterizations are solid. There's a lot of laugh moments, but there's also substance. And yeah, really liked it. Thought it was awesome.
Excellent. Luke Cage, number 1, is out this week by David F. Walker, maybe? My voice is going to do this thing all day. Yes, it is David F. Walker. Artwork by Nelson Blake II, and this is merging kind of the comic version of Luke Cage and the Netflix version of Luke Cage into a title that hopefully more people will want to read than Red Power Man and Iron Fist, which Walker also wrote and was canceled due to a variety of factors. So here's my plea, and I don't know if anybody watches this that doesn't read comics. If you do, please let us know in the comments below. But it's really, I think, an opportunity for people that enjoyed the Netflix series to jump into comic books and pick up a Luke Cage comic. It's excellent. It's very, very good. Artwork is excellent. Writing is top-notch, and it's not a typical kind of Luke Cage story. It takes him out of his comfort zone a little bit, out of his neighborhood where he's protecting people into kind of an unknown situation, brings in some characters from his past, which I'm assuming are part of his comics history, but I didn't read Power Man back in the day because I was 3. But it's very possible. So it's a great start to the series. much the same way that Matt Fraction's Invincible Iron Man was. When the Iron Man movie came out, they took elements of the movie and mixed it with elements of the comic, and we got one of the best Iron Man series of the last 20 years. Hopefully we'll see the same thing happen with Luke Cage, and hopefully enough people will purchase it to keep it going for a while. Definitely read the letter in the back by David Walker. I think it carries a lot of weight. He talks about being, a young black kid with his cousin at the 7-Eleven in Virginia, and that's where he that's where he meets Luke Cage for the first time in comics.
Where Luke Cage exposes himself.
Yes, on the spinner rack, growing up in the 70s, and how important it was for them to have this strong black character for them to read and kind of idolize. So I think this book means a lot, obviously, to him, and I hope it finds its audience because it's really good.
Next up, I've got a Tom Taylor double play. Justice League Power Rangers 4 is out. I don't understand. I keep reading it because his name's on it, and it keeps being good, and I don't like it. I like the book. I don't like that I like the Power Rangers book. It makes me feel dirty. But there's a lot of really fun stuff going on in here. The Power Rangers have to fight on their Earth, so they need to disguise their identities, but they've been demorphorized. They don't have their coins and stuff, so they don't have their costumes, essentially. So they raid the Justice League trophy room to get costumes and weapons for the fight, and it is awesome. I love the grasp that Taylor has on the DC characters, and just the way they interact is amazing. Also out from Taylor this week, Injustice 2, under new management. The last issue ended on kind of a surprise element. It looked like Batman was murdering people and assembling his own Suicide Squad. And it appears that is not the case. Well, it's sort of the case. Someone in a Batman costume is doing that. Bruce Wayne shows up to stop him, and it goes real badly for Bruce. And I say that in the Injustice universe, where Bruce has had some truly spectacular kickings of his ass. He gets whooped on pretty good in this one. And it's a mystery. We don't know who the other person is, but it is remarkably well written. We get some really great character moments with Batman and a returned Oliver Queen and Dinah Lance.
She's French.
Yes. Tom Taylor writes amazing books, and you should read them.
All right, so for those of you that have not read Injustice and are maybe hyped up over the video game that came out this week, this is a good public service announcement that there are several volumes of Injustice. Is it Gods Among Us? Was that what
that was the subtitle of the original one? I think the new one's just called Injustice.
The original series, 5 years worth of stories, if I'm not mistaken.
5 years.
5 years in the DC universe,
yeah.
Which were like 3 years in our universe.
Right.
I'm not sure. But it's surprising to me how many people don't know that this comic exists. In fact, my 17-year-old picked up the game yesterday. Or Tuesday night, more accurately, and I was reading New Comics last night, and he asked, is there? I heard there's a comic for the new Injustice game, and I'm like, yeah, well, there's one for the other one too, and I went to my bookshelf and pulled off the copy and plunked down the Ultimate Edition of Injustice Year One, and he's like, how long can I have this? I'm like, forever. Good. So and it's excellent. I mean, again, written by Tom Taylor, and the book is in our top 50, I think, and this is top 50 of the last 12 months. I think it's somewhere around number 10 or 12.
In terms of sales.
In terms of sales here in the shop, it's just excellent. Once people pick it up, they want to continue reading the series. And whether you play the game or not, I don't. I've never played the game.
Actually.
But that first series is excellent, and I haven't read any of the new series because I choose to read and trade on that one. But based on what Josh has said over the last 2 issues, I can't wait to check it out. So if you're an Injustice video game player and you've never read the Injustice comics, you're really doing yourself a disservice. You need to go out and pick them up. Superman number 23 is out this week, continues the Black Dawn storyline. Not going to talk a whole lot about this other than to say that something quite permanent happens to one of our main players.
To the extent that anything is permanent in the comic book.
Yeah, it's surprising, actually. I had to flip back and
forth.
Did
and, that really happen?
And make sure that it really happened. So if you're a fan of the Superman universe, you don't want to miss this issue. Daredevil 20, also out this week, is wrapping up the Running with the Devil storyline by Charles Soule and Ron Garney, where Matt Murdock is confessing to a priest basically his sins over the last year, and the takeaway from this is that nothing good ever happens to Matt Murdock. He is the most Eeyore character. He's not an Eeyore because he doesn't
He does a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't go around saying, woe is me, but you see why no one remembers that Matt Murdock is Daredevil anymore. We finally get that explained in here, and it's just kind of heart-wrenching to read, especially if you've been reading Daredevil for a while. I enjoyed it, but it made me sad.
Next up for me, I've got Batman 23, written by Tom Taylor, with art by Mitch Gerads?
Tom King.
Sorry, Tom King. That guy Tom, whatever. So anybody who's been reading comics for a while knows that there are some truly spectacular crossovers between Swamp Thing and Batman, going all the way back to the Alan Moore Swamp Thing era stuff. We get a one-off, kind of self-contained, one-and-done Batman Swamp Thing team-up called The Brave and the Mold. You're better than that, Tom King. Swamp Thing has nothing to do with mold. Those are completely different kingdoms in the classification. But it is a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool throwbacks to history of the DC Universe. Swamp Thing and Batman are a great pairing because they're so dramatically different. They both want justice to be served, but they have such different ideas of what that is. As a universal force, or not universal, but as a global force, Swamp Thing sees morality differently than Batman does, especially as it regards death. And we get a death of a character related to a hero in here, and some fallout that's maybe not exactly what you expected. So a very fun might not be the word, a very interesting, cool Swamp Thing Batman team up.
Yeah, I really dug it. It's kind of hard to classify who this is for, other than Batman fans and Swamp Thing fans. But there's subtle humor in here. You got Alfred kind of sweeping up after Swamp Thing as he walks around Wayne Manor. There's a dedication in the beginning for Bernie. So for Bernie Wrightson, one of the co-creators of Swamp Thing. There's some other tips of the hat to the legacy of Swamp Thing and DC in this issue. And the artwork by Mitch Gerads is awesome. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he was trying to ape Bernie Wrightson to some degree, but it definitely looked that way to me. And I'm not that familiar with his artwork, with Mitch Gerads' artwork, so maybe that's just his jam, and that's how he always draws. But I really loved it. It made me want to go back and read Batman the Cult, which was drawn by Bernie Wrightson, and is top-notch stuff. So just as a side note, Tom King and Mitch Gerads... Is it Gerards or Gerads?
Gerads, but I don't know how it's actually pronounced.
Gerads announced within the last week that they're going to be doing a mini-series on Mr. Miracle.
Oh, cool.
So that is coming down the pipeline and should be awesome. And I guess it's my turn again. I talk about everything. Star Trek The Next Generation, Broken Mirror #1. This is a mini-series by the Tipton brothers, David and Scott. Art and colors by J.K. Woodward. This is the creative team behind Harlan Ellison's City on the Edge of Forever, comic book adaptation that came out probably 3 years ago. So this is Star Trek The Next Generation set in the Mirror universe. And there was a Free Comic Book Day book that was available on Free Comic Book Day, of all days. Which kind of sets up what's going on here. And if you're a fan of Star Trek The Next Generation, you absolutely don't want to miss this. There's some great moments in here. And Woodward's artwork is kind of polarizing, I think, because he relies a lot on... What is that?
Photo reference?
Yes, photo reference, which makes some things look really cool and other things look really silly. But overall, I think it's a fun book for Next Generation fans. There hasn't been a Next Generation comic standalone. I mean, they've been.
Oh, you mean their own series? Yeah, right, they were in the other one, the one that has the anthology.
I'm trying to remember what that one's called. Waypoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there've been little stories here and there, but there hasn't been a Next Generation story in several years, possibly since IDW picked up the license. I could be wrong. So
well, they were some of the crossovers have been Next Generation era.
Yeah. But for those of you that are Star Trek The Next Generation fans, this is a can't miss.
And as someone who knows a lot more about Next Generation than I do,
I know more about the original series, but...
Well, but you know more about the Next Generation than I do, is the important part. Is there a Mirror episode in Next Gen?
There is not.
Okay, because I've seen a lot of things...
There have been novelizations.
Okay.
And I don't know how much of... I mean, not novelizations. There have been novels.
Well, there were continuity things in here that I had seen in other places, and I didn't know if it all stemmed from an episode or if it's its own...
The Mirror universe has been explored in the books several times over decades. But there was never a... And call me out on this, anybody that watches Next Generation. or is a bigger fan than I am of Next Generation. Even though I watched all of it, really. I watched all of them from beginning to end. It started when I was a freshman in high school, wrapped up when I was a junior in college, somewhere around there. But as I got older, I did not feel the emotional attachment that I do to the original series, or to Enterprise, for that matter. But anyway, I don't think there was a mirror episode of Next. There was a mirror episode of Enterprise, obviously, in the original series, and I believe, yes, there was one in Deep Space Nine. Okay. So there you go.
There you go.
Is that it?
That was my. Oh, I got one more.
Okay.
Also ran. John Layman and Sam Keith have Eleanor and the Egret #2 out. Continues the weird story of art heists with a shape-shifting bird. Just ridiculous and fun and interesting layouts by Keith. It's good. Aftershock does a good job.
They do. And I'm glad I'm hearing that many of you picked up Pestilence after we talked about it. In fact, I think we might be sold out. Aftershock sold out, so they're doing a second printing of #1. #2 should be coming out in a couple of weeks. So keep your eye on Aftershock. There's also a new series coming out from Donnie Cates, who does God Country and Redneck, called Baby Teeth.
Oh, yeah. There's a preview of it in something this week. There's like
we got a full preview.
Well, I've read the preview, but one of the regular books this week has a backup, and I assume it's God Country. But.
Yeah, so it's kind of Rosemary's Baby meets something else, meets Juno.
That's what I was thinking was Juno, yeah, because she's in high school.
Yeah. So there's that. One other thing I meant to mention with Luke Cage, because, believe it or not, the store's been open for 12 years, and a lot happens in comics during that time. And the Avengers Disassembled stuff happened before the store opened, but a lot of people still maybe are not familiar with it. If you want to read some really great Luke Cage stuff, Bendis' first work on Luke Cage, pick up New Avengers Volume 1 by, it's Breakout is the subtitle, by Brian Michael Bendis. That basically was the reintroduction of Luke Cage to the Marvel Universe in any meaningful way. And he actually became an Avenger. I don't think he was an Avenger prior to that, and was actually leading the Avengers. So if you're looking for some good Luke Cage stories, go back and check out New Avengers Volume 1, Breakout.
Yeah, but his first stuff would have been an Alias, wouldn't it? I mean...
It was right around the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Alias predated.
But those are
right. It's alternate.
Well, it's not alternate. Those are just completely different characterizations.
Tonally.
Tonally, yeah. I mean, New Avengers, I can hand to a teenager. I can't hand Jessica Jones to a teenager.
Should not do that.
So anyway, but either one, lots of great Luke Cage stories in the past.
I got a question via email or messenger or something this morning, which I answered directly, but we'll throw it out here in case anybody else cares. They asked for a good, self-contained Thor story. Like a done, completed Thor arc. There's only one answer I could think of. I just want to see what you come up with first.
Did you do Secret Wars Thor? No?
No, Straczynski.
Yeah, well that's...
It's 3 volumes, but it's done. And they're short volumes.
Yeah.
It's only like
I mean, you could say the same thing
issues.
about Simonson's run on Thor. I mean,
yeah. I don't know if a modern sensibility would be interested in that.
No, but absolutely.
But yeah, J. Michael Straczynski's run on Thor actually follows up on the Avengers Disassembled stuff a little bit, where Ragnarok happened and everyone in the Norse pantheon was gone. This brings back Thor and everyone. It has some moments that definitely influence the movie Thor that we see, and was awesome. I would also put in a plug for Jason Aaron's Thor, but it is the opposite of self-contained and done. It's 5 years long and awesome, but
and
not
still
over yet.
ongoing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still ongoing. But you're right. I guess I was thinking of like
one story. Oh yeah,
it's like 6 issues, or
here's
one book, Thor book you can read.
Jeez, was that? I would have to go with the Better Ray Bill stuff, probably, maybe. I don't know. The original.
But Straczynski's Thor doesn't get talked about a lot anymore because Jason Aaron has entered the picture, and it's just. Yeah, especially for newer readers when you're coming in. I was thinking about that. It might have been on the drive-in today. Somebody bought the first volume of Fraction's Iron Man.
Oh, awesome.
And I went to order Volume 2, and Volume 2 is not available.
Yeah.
So I didn't reorder Volume 1 because the place to point people now is Bendis' Invincible Iron Man.
Yeah.
So they're... And this is Marvel with their start, stop. It's tough to point new people. Like if we were making somebody who loves the Avengers and they want to read something featuring each of the main characters of the Avengers, so where do you point them to? So Iron Man, right now would probably be the most recent Invincible Iron Man volume prior to the Riri Williams stuff, which sets up where Iron Man is right now. I would think. Hawkeye would be Fraction's Hawkeye run, which is significantly different than what we see in the Avengers.
But very good.
Yeah. Black Widow, I'd probably go with Mark Waid and Chris Samney's current Black one. Widow series. Yeah. Hulk, Planet Hulk, I guess.
Yeah.
Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Is that everybody?
Probably.
Phil Coulson?
Sam Jackson?
Thor.
Thor.
Thor would be, for me, I'm torn between Jason Aaron's Thor, God of Thunder, and Straczynski's.
Thor, God of Thunder is very mythological in nature. There's a lot going on there that's not necessarily new reader friendly. It's amazing, but...
Yeah, I would go with Straczynski's. And just as a side note, J. Michael Straczynski was given a script credit on the movie, and he was actually featured in the movie.
He's the first guy that tries to pick up the hammer.
Yes. So there you go.
Oh.
And now you know. All right, folks, so that's it for this week. This was kind of fun. We were just riffing on whatever. Back to the old days when we used to just talk about whatever. We're coming up on 300, man. 300 episodes!
We're going to have to fight some Persians.
I don't know. Maybe we get Frank Miller as a
Yeah.
So the usual deal. If you like this week's episode, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. And we'll continue the conversation over in our private Facebook group. Comics are awesome. The group continues to grow, and I'm really happy with the direction that it's going in. It's a very positive community to talk about comics. Lots of sharing of information. People asking, questions like Josh got an email. Where do I go for this? What should I start reading here? And so thank you to those of you that are members of that group and are being helpful and supportive in there. It sounds like a support group, but it's... there's so much negativity in comics that, let's just focus on why comics are awesome and talk about it there. If you'd like to become a subscriber of our pull and hold service, we want to be your local comic shop, so there'll be a link in the show notes for you to do that. And I swear to God, we are this close to getting our in-stock inventory available on the internet. It may happen before the next episode. I don't want to make any promises here, but it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, trying to make this work. But I know several of you have asked about being able to purchase in-stock graphic novels from us and that sort of thing, and we're almost there. So stick with us, please, and feel free to ask any questions. We're always happy to answer them. We are here to help you. We're willing to believe you. What's that from?
No idea.
Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Have a great day.